Okay, hello everybody. My name is Mariano, and this is my channel, Why Am I Mari? And today we're going to do the third part of our five-part segment of ranking each player from elite to for each position. And today we're doing the small forward. Yesterday we did the shooting guards, and the day before that we did the point guards. And so I thought today would be a good time to do the small forwards. And I've been getting some feedback from some of my friends who watch my videos and some other people that maybe I'm being a little bit too lenient on some of my ranking. Like, someone pointed out that I had a good half of them be maybe borderline all-star above. And he kind of made a good point that there is only a limited amount of spots that can be an all-star and so on and so forth. So I think moving forward I'm going to try and be a little bit more harsh. Maybe not so much on how much potential they got sometimes, but be more firm on, okay, they're good, but they're just okay, or maybe they're maybe you could be doing better. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of rank it like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off here today. Franz Wagner is an interesting one to start off with. I think he's definitely a solid small forward. I think he showed a lot of glimpse of what he could be in the future this his rookie season. I really liked him. I liked watching him play. So I think he's just solid. I don't think he's shown me anything that's borderline all-star at this point, but I think he's very much a solid player. Kyle Anderson, he's okay. He has his moments. He plays good defense, kind of shoot okay, but he's kind of an okay player. I think he's definitely, for myself, a step down from Franz Wagner, especially with how young Franz Wagner is and what we see he can do. Kind of Kyle Anderson, you kind of get what you get, and that's what you're going to get for probably the rest of his career, which is solid, or it's okay, but I wouldn't put him anything below that. Then you got Gordon Hayward. Again, okay, if he can stay healthy, he's more of a solid small forward in the NBA, but he didn't really stay healthy, and he's just okay at this point in his career. He's just kind of taking a back seat. I remember the times when he used to be an all-star, and he could put up 25 in his sleep. Those days are over, and it's not particularly his fault, but he's still kind of a bucket sometimes, and I respect it. Lou Dort, you guys are going to think is crazy, but I like him as solid. I think he scores the ball pretty well, pretty efficiently, but also plays great defense, and he might be one of the better on-ball defenders in the NBA. And so I really like him as a solid small forward compared to the other two guys below him. That's not to say that they're eons apart from each other, but I think he is kind of a more solidified starting small forward in the NBA as opposed to the other two guys. Jimmy Butler is going to be my first player in that elite category. I think what he brings to the game with his defense, his offense, his way he leads his team, I think that kind of gets him a notch in that elite category. I think he's probably at this time one of the top small forwards in the league, behind probably KD and LeBron and Kawhi, I guess, when relatively healthy. So, RJ Barrett. I think what he showed last year, I think he's a borderline all-star. His team's not that great, but I think he's one of those guys that's moving forward going to be an all-star caliber player, if not an all-star. And you could even see him make an all-NBA team in the future. He's still very young, still has a lot of time. He's a lefty, which is great. I mean, I love lefty. I'm a lefty, right? And also, I mean, he's shot more efficiently this year. He plays good on-ball defense, and he's just really solid NBA player. I think he's in that borderline all-star tier. I think he might make that next jump soon. So I really like him. Eric Gordon, he had a few years back in the day where he gets you 20 points a night and do it efficiently. He's kind of fallen off. He is a little bit older, and he's just he doesn't bring anything to the table that I enjoy very much. So for that, he gets kind of put at the bottom. OG Anunoby, solid. I think he's a great NBA player. They're a good defender. I really like OG Anunoby. I feel like a lot of times people forget about him. He's a little bit underrated. It's kind of weird on that team how they're kind of spread out and kind of each play their own role. But I really like him. He's a solid NBA player, and I think that's kind of a good place to put him. I think he is particularly better than the three below him. So. Dylan Brooks. When he's healthy, he's solid. If you haven't noticed, these three kind of play that similar role of a very gritty, nitty type of defender who can also score the ball when needed. He can put up 20 a night if he needs to, but a lot of times you kind of get what you get from him on the defensive end of the ball. and you get a better feel for the game of what he does on that side of the ball. And I think what he brings defensively overshadows what he brings offensively most of the time. And I just really appreciate that, you know. Dylan Brooks is one of those guys that I'd like to have on my team. I think he does a lot of the dirty stuff, too, for you, you know. KD, I don't think I need to say much more. I think he's elite. I think one of the best shooters of all time. He's just great. LeBron, again, another guy you don't really need to say much about. He's elite all around. I don't think anyone can argue that. You know, a lot of people might say he put up empty stats this year, but I think he just played like he always does, you know, kind of put his team on his back like he normally has to. And in my opinion, the best player of all time. So, you know. Saddiq Bey, for now, solid. I could see him kind of creep into that borderline all-star one of these years. He's kind of one of those guys that I think might take the next step next year. It just depends on his team's success and how they want to distribute that ball around him. Because I know a lot of the focus is going to be on Cade Cunningham. But I think he could be one of those guys who could average like 20, 21 points on good efficiency in the future. DeMar DeRozan. Another guy that's kind of elite. No, actually, I want to put him in the superstar. I think he played at an elite level this year, but I don't think he upkeeps that. I think he's definitely a superstar in this league, and he's someone who's going to get you a bucket. But I think what we saw this year, we probably won't see replicated in the future. I just think it's kind of hard for him to upkeep and have that team success. And you kind of saw that dwindle down later in the year. And so that's kind of why I put him in that superstar range. Kawhi, when he's healthy, he's elite. He's probably the best two-way player in the NBA. Shoots efficiently as hell, and he defends the ball like nobody else. So I think that earns him a spot in the league. Bojan Bogdanovic. He's okay. Getting a little bit older in age. He's someone who could score the ball pretty well and play decent defense. But, again, it's just his age is getting to him and his injuries are getting to him. Josh Hart, another guy that's okay. Pretty good, actually very underrated defender. Pretty good scorer, and I think it just earns him that spot in okay. You can make an argument that he could have a good year this next year and actually play very well on that team, but it's just on the Trailblazers. But I think it's just one of those things we'll have to wait and see. Jason Tatum. I really like Jason Tatum. I think his game is silky smooth. I think there's a lot of times when sometimes he's very hot or cold. Most of the time he's hot, but there's a lot of times where he gets outshined by Jaylen Brown on his own team. I'm gonna put him in the highest of tier of superstar. I don't think, in my opinion, he compares to any of these four. I think you can make an argument with Jimmy Butler, and I could see it, but I just think what Jimmy Butler does for his team, what he brings outside of the game and also defensively, kind of overshadows what all Jason Tatum does offensively, because they both play good offense. I think Jason Tatum does it a little bit better. He's a way better shooter. But at the same time, I think on the defensive ball and kind of that impact that Jimmy Butler has on his team overshadows Jason Tatum, which is why he's a tier below, but not very far below. Herbert Jones is a solid NBA player. I value his defense way too much to put him anything below that. I think he's a guy I would love on any team. I think he could fit perfectly well, play great defense, and get you those stops that you need. Harrison Barnes, he's just he's okay. He started off the year hot. He's a good scorer, but again, he's getting up there in age, and you kind of always, he's consistent, but you don't ever see much progress from him, and that's kind of why he's just okay. Mikal Bridges, another solid NBA player, exactly similar to Herbert Jones. He probably a better, if not almost the same defender as Herbert Jones, but has actually more of an offensive game. I think Herbert Jones will develop that over time, but I value Mikal Bridges in his role in the NBA. Andrew Wiggins. He was an all-star this year, so it'd be kind of a shame for me not to put him as a borderline all-star. I think what he can do as a 3-and-D player, or as a two-way small forward, it's amazing. I think he showed that in the playoffs. I hated all that. Like, he had such high expectations that people called him a bust, even though he was still averaging 20 points a night. You know, some nights 17 or some years 17. But like, that's solid. You know, that's not bust material. When I think bust, I think someone who's out of the NBA in a couple of years, or someone who puts up 5 points a game for their whole career and that's it. You know, that's all you get out of them. And I don't think Andrew Wiggins was ever that. I understand he set his bar really high, but I think this past year he showed that he finally earned some respect in the league, and he's finally someone who deserves that contract, who played his heart out, and he was really impactful on that team. Chris Middleton. I like Chris Middleton, but he's kind of that borderline all-star tier. He's someone who can be an all-star caliber player, but I think a lot of that depends on his team's success. I think, again, he's kind of like very hot and cold, and you can get the most efficient, best scorer in the league some nights, and then other nights he's non-existent and not impactful at all. Michael Porter Jr., when healthy, he's a borderline all-star. I think you saw a glimpse of that in that year. He put up like 19 and 8 on really good efficiency. I think he shot 50% from 3. I think he's one of those special players that if he's healthy, he's great. PJ Tucker, at this point, he's eh. I love PJ Tucker. I would love to have a PJ Tucker on my team. I mean, he was and he no longer is. But he's one of those guys you always want on your team. He's always going to do the dirty stuff. He's always going to do the hard work. He's always going to be hustling. And I think you can't replicate that, but at the same time, what he lacks offensively is huge, and he's just at this point. DeAndre Hunter, he's okay. I really like him. He's a great defender, but I think he's just okay at this time. I think he might have an opportunity to shine in these upcoming years, and I really hope he does, but for now, he's okay. Will Barton, good defender, but he's nothing special. Reggie Bullock, kind of the same. He's in that category. I really like Reggie Bullock, but all he's good for, he's decent shooting. That's really all you get out of him. Devin Vassell, again, an small forward. I know he was on the shooting guard list yesterday, but barring if he does play either position, I think he's still an kind of small, at that small forward position. But he healed as a small forward. I'd say solid. Kind of lacks that size. He's about 6'5", 6'6". I think he lacks some size at that position. Great shooter, one of the best of all time, really. If you want to look at his numbers, but I think he's solid. And then last but not least, Caris LeVert. Again, honestly, I'm going to put him okay. I may have ranked him a little bit higher. I think I may have had him as solid, but I think he's okay. I think if he gets healthy and he gets kind of comfortable with his team, he kind of reached that solid tier, and maybe even more. You kind of saw a glimpse of it when he was with the Nets, but I think he's okay. So I'm looking at this list, and I don't have anybody in all-star caliber. So I'm going to move some people around that I think probably deserve that. And I think you got Andrew Wiggins there and Chris Middleton. Is there anyone else that I feel could move up or down? I think maybe putting Herbert Jones here is kind of high because it's kind of a projection. So I'm going to put him at the top of okay. I really like him, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, he's someone who is strictly defense, which I like, but it may not make him as solid as some people would be. So I think I'm happy with this list. I think that's what I like it. I think you kind of got your top 4 who are kind of solidified. And honestly, you know what? I'm going to move Jimmy Butler down to this tier with them. I think that's kind of what he deserves. I think those 3 are kind of a step above Jimmy Butler. So I think it kind of deserves that spot. So, yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave our list. I hope everybody enjoyed. I hope you guys like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the list. Did I rank someone too high, too low? Let me know. And you guys have a great day and take care.